Welcome back to the Riichi Mahjong Guide. In this episode, we're going to start talking about Yaku. Now, Yaku are special criteria for hands, similar to poker or Texas Hold'em. It would be like a pair, or a three of a kind, or a straight, or a flush, stuff like that. But since you're working with 14 tiles, it's a lot more complicated than poker. Similarly to poker, you can combine these Yaku to either make bigger Yaku or just increase the value of your hand. So for instance, in poker, where if you get a pair and a three of a kind, it's a full house, and that's worth a lot more than either of those two separately. In Japanese Mahjong, you can have multiple Yaku overlapping. Of course, some are not compatible with others. So like you can't get a full house and a straight in poker, now can you? It's the same kind of thing with Mahjong. It's not quite that simple, but we're going to go through these Yaku a few at a time. And once we get to the end of this series of videos on Yaku, you'll have a better understanding of why certain hands fit the requirements for certain Yaku. And I want to note that in Riichi Mahjong, you cannot win a hand if your hand does not have at least one Yaku. Dora are not Yaku, they are just worth Han. They're like a bonus. You can't win your hand with just Dora. So you need at least one Yaku in your hand to win. And so today we're going to be talking about a couple of Yaku that can be applied to pretty much every hand as long as the hand is closed. And this is another reason why I say don't call tiles, because it deprives you of these two Yaku. The first Yaku we're going to talk about is Riichi, the Yaku from which this game derives its name, Riichi. So Riichi can be applied to any closed hand. So you'll note here that we have a hand of 14 tiles here. We have 1, 2, 3 for Manzu. We have a triplet of the 3 so. We have a pair of the 7 so. We have a sequence 2, 3, 4 of Pinzu. And then for our last 3 tiles, we have a 6, 8, and 9 of Pinzu. For Tenpai, we would either have to discard the 6 or the 9. So since, as we can see here, since the 8 pin is the Dora indicator, we know that the 9 pin is the Dora. So we're not going to discard that because it's worth 1 Han, not Yaku, but Han. So we're going to toss the 6 pin. And this is the point where you would declare Riichi. The first thing you do is discard your tile sideways and declare Riichi. This tells all of your opponents that you are in Tenpai and you now have the Yaku Riichi. From this point on, you cannot change your hand in any way. Your hand is locked in pretty much. And you have to discard any tiles that are not your winning tile except in one special case, which we will cover in this video. So after you've discarded your tile and declared Riichi, if no one wins on that tile that you discarded, you have to place one 1,000 point stick on the table as a bet. So here we have a blue 1,000 point stick like you may have seen in Saki. They're usually white, but I have colored sticks, so we'll just use those. So you place that next to your discard pile. Usually it doesn't matter where, as long as everyone can see it. And so those 1,000 points are now given to the next player who wins a hand. Hopefully that's you, because you're in Tenpai and declared Riichi, but it might not always be you. So you're essentially risking that 1,000 points to add this Yaku to your hand. And you're also risking the chance that you might deal into someone else's hand by drawing a tile that you cannot win with and discarding that tile that someone else can win with. So there's a lot of risk and reward to Riichi. It's an incredibly complex Yaku, so I'm going to try and cover as much as I can right now. So once you've placed your 1,000 point stick on the table, you've bet 1,000 points, which honestly is not a lot, so don't worry. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's just 1,000. You start with like 25 or 30,000. It's not a big deal. So once you've done that, you pretty much are just sitting and waiting for your winning tile to come out, whether you draw it yourself or someone else discards it. Let's say you go a few turns, you draw some tiles you don't need. Didn't need that. That didn't let me win. Oh, but then someone just discarded the tile you're waiting for. The 7 pin. Someone else discards it. You can declare Don because your hand is in Tenpai and you have a Yaku, so therefore you can win. You declare Don, open your hand as you would normally, and so now you've won the hand. You get your 1,000 points back because you've won. But if you are in Riichi and you win the hand, you also get another bonus. every tile under all the existing Dora indicator tiles get added as Dora indicator tiles. So in this case, there's just one because no one made any cons. So you're going to pick that up, set it aside, and flip it over as a new Dora indicator. These new Dora indicator only apply to the player who won after declaring Riichi. So other players can't use this new Dora. And this Dora is also called an Ura Dora, which is like an underneath Dora because it's from the Dora indicator that was underneath the original Dora indicator. So in this case, we already had one Dora, the 9 pin, but now we just got two more Dora because the 6 so indicates that the 7 so is Dora. Just by declaring Riichi, we made this hand with no Yaku into a 4 Han hand because Riichi is worth 1 Han and each Dora is worth 1 Han. Now that is a lot. And this is another reason why I tell you don't open your hand. It's not worth it usually. So you got your 1,000 points back and you won a 4 Han hand. That's pretty good. So let's say that instead of having to wait around, someone immediately discards your winning tile within the turn after you declared Riichi, and you win off of it. That gives you another Yaku, which is called Ippatsu, which is like in English it's called one shot or within the first turn after declaring Riichi. I mean, I know that's really wordy, so Ippatsu. So if you win either by Don or by Tsumo in the first uninterrupted round after declaring Riichi, you get the Yaku for Ippatsu. And what do I mean by uninterrupted round? That means no one can make any chi, pon, or kan calls. They can Riichi too, it doesn't matter. As long as they don't chi, pon, or kan. Then you can get Ippatsu. And let's say that instead of winning by Don, you actually Tsumo'd. So you would put the tile next to your hand, declare that you won by Tsumo. If you win by Tsumo with a closed hand, meaning that you've drawn every single tile, all 14 tiles in your hand, by yourself, that is worth a Yaku called Menzen Tsumo. Usually it's just called Menzen Tsumo or just Tsumo, the Yaku Tsumo. And that adds one more Yaku, worth one more Han, to your hand. So in this case, if you had one on the Ippatsu turn with Tsumo, you would get Riichi, Ippatsu, Tsumo, plus all the Dora, meaning the Dora you already knew, the 9 pin, plus the 2 Uradora you get from the 6 so, being the 7 so. You could turn a hand that's worth no Yaku at all into like some ridiculous hand just because of Riichi. So if you remember, a little earlier in the video, I said that when you declare Riichi, you pretty much cannot touch your hand and it is essentially locked in. There is one case where you can modify your hand after declaring Riichi, and that is for a closed con. So for instance, with this hand shape, if you draw the 4th 3 so, you can declare a closed con of the 3 so, as long as it does not affect the shape of your hand. So in this case, it's fine because it's completely isolated from everything else. You can declare your closed con. To do this, you would just put down the 3 so you drew, reveal the 3 so from your hand, make your closed con, put it off to the side, and then depending on the rules, you would flip new Dora, and then you draw from the dead wall. Okay, that's not a tile we need, so we have to discard it. Even if this were the tile that we were waiting to win on, like even if it were the 7 pin, we would not qualify for Ippatsu because we declared a con. You would get a different Yaku, which I would cover very, very much later because it's so rare. But in this case, you would just have to discard the tile if you didn't win off of it. And then if later in the hand you win off the 7 pin, you declare Don or Tsumo, whatever, then not only do you get the new Dora indicator from the original Dora tile, but you also get new Dora indicator from the new Dora. So you take this aside, flip these over. Oh my goodness. So you already had one Dora, the 9 pin, from the original Dora indicator, the 8 pin. From the con, you got a new Dora, the 3 mon, from the 2 mon. We already knew we were going to get 2 new Dora from the 7 so, but you also revealed the 9 mon, which makes the 1 mon a Dora. So this hand became Riichi 5 Dora. So that's 6 Han, that's pretty amazing for a hand with no other Yaku. And this is the only situation where you can modify the hand after Riichi. For an example of when you cannot declare a closed con after Riichi, let's look at this hand. So we do have three so, and we draw the fourth one. In this case, the 3-so isn't actually a triplet, it's a pair and part of a sequence. So we could not declare a con on this because we would end up in no 10. So just make sure that when you have a shape like this, you don't declare a con. Or, one more example, let's say this is our hand shape. So in this case, the 3-so can either be viewed as a triplet with a tanki weight on the 4-so, or we can look at it as a pair with a Vyanmen weight on the 2 or 5-so. In this case, we cannot declare a con either. Even if we draw the 3-so and we con, we're still in tenpai for the 4-so tanki weight, but because this changes the shape of the hand, we are not allowed to declare a con here. Essentially, the only way to declare a con is if the triplet that was in your hand already has no connection to any of the other tiles and would be considered a triplet regardless of what you do. If you're unsure about whether or not you can declare a con, it's probably safer not to. But if it's a completely isolated set, like in this case, then it's fine. You can just declare your con, hopefully get some more Dora. Okay, but let's say you don't want to Riichi. You just, for whatever reason, either you're so far in the lead, you don't have to worry about the points, or you're afraid someone else is going to win and you don't want to be the one who deals into their hand. For whatever reason, you don't want to Riichi. You don't have to. As long as your hand is closed, you always qualify for the Yaku Menzen Tsumo. So even though this hand is worth no Yaku without Riichi, if you draw your winning tile by Tsumo, you can still declare a win because you will have the Yaku Menzen Tsumo. Menzen Tsumo is kind of like a Yaku that says, as long as your hand is closed, you can win, even if you have no other Yaku. So even if someone else discards your 7-pin, you can't win off of it without Yaku. And you might or might not know it at this point, but this hand is worth no Yaku right now. But if you Tsumo, you can get the Yaku for Menzen Tsumo. Even if it's just a cheap hand that's only worth Menzen Tsumo, you can at least still win it. As for how much this hand is worth regarding scoring, we won't get into that this video, but to review, Riichi is a Yaku worth 1 Han, Ippatsu is a Yaku worth 1 Han that can only be gained within the first uninterrupted turn after Riichi, and Menzen Tsumo is a Yaku worth 1 Han that can only be gained by keeping your entire hand closed and drawing your winning tile yourself. These are fundamental Yaku in Japanese Mahjong, and they're very powerful Yaku as well, which is, again, why I recommend not to call other players' tiles and open your hand, because these Yaku can only be claimed if your hand is closed when you reach tenpai. We covered what are most likely some of the most important Yaku for a closed hand in this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and thank you so much for watching.